Good morning and welcome to the Contender. This is Vicki B. Turner and I do not own the rights to this music. Now, I promised you last week that we would have a surprise guest for you today. So I'm going to take my gloves off and get ready for our guest, and we're going to share some nuggets for you. Happy Valentine's
Surprise.
Day. Oh, all right.
Hey, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Well, this is my husband here, and he has been so gracious to decide to join us because we want to talk about something that's very important to us, contentions that come up in our marriage. And so every week I talk about what we're contending with. And you know as well as I do, if you're in a marital relationship or in a relationship, you deal with contentions. And so I want to talk about some of that. This is a test. We're going to give you a test. And you know I'm an educator. So as an educator, I believe in the value of tests. Educators love testing their students. And the reason why we do tests is we want to see if there's mastery. Do you understand? Where are you in the process of learning? And so we're going to give you a test today.
Open book test.
But this is an open book.
Right.
That's the good thing is open book means it's a little bit easier, isn't it?
Very
you can find
good.
the answers, but we're not going to make it very hard for you. We're going to tell you where those answers are.
That's right.
So we thought about what are some of the challenges that you deal with in marriage, especially during this confinement. And I think it is considered, what you call it, confinement?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, marriage is difficult anyway, but now we're confined with this virus situation, this pandemic going on. So it's put more stress and more pressure on a marriage.
Yes.
So you're really going to have to press a little bit further, a little bit harder to make sure that you can sustain and maintain a positive and a very strong marriage.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. We thought about 5 areas that we thought you might be challenged. And you may have more. You maybe can add more to it. But here we go. Communication.
Yes.
Finances. Intimacy or the lack thereof. Children and how we manage and raise and train them. And this is the last one. Taking one another for granted.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so we thought, let's go in real time. And real time is how the Turners deal with life. And I'll tell you a little bit about the Turners. We are a very competitive couple.
Absolutely.
We always have been. And so competitive means we want to win. And so when we fight, and I'm just going to be transparent because I think that's what you want. We fight to win.
By any means necessary.
Come on. We go for the juggler. we go the sucker punch.
We do.
We go for the bow at the knee, hit them in the jewels. We go to win. Now, when I say this, don't think we do physical fighting.
No.
This is fighting with the words. There is power in our words. Remember, I talked about that recently. But we fight to win, and sometimes we fall asleep saying what our words are. And that's what I mean.
Get the last word in.
Got to get the last word in. And we've been doing this for over 40 plus years, and so I think we're pretty good at it. But we want to talk about what we've learned over the years in our fights. And so we don't walk around singing songs and making melodies unto our heart as unto the Lord. I wish I could tell you that we walk around with scriptures from sun up to sundown, but we walk around in real time.
Absolutely.
And in real time, you're going to deal with real issues.
Exactly.
And sometimes you don't feel as prepared to deal with those real issues. So you got to fight it out.
That's right.
And I think if you find a couple who never have fights, you better run from them because they can't tell you anything to sustain life as a couple. You need to deal with life.
Exactly.
And sometimes life is dealing with fighting through issues, fighting for the good of your marriage and how you want to sustain it. So I was thinking about what are some of the things that we have done to sustain us.
Well, one thing is that we respect each other's space. Let's put it that way. I'm an upstairs person, Vicki is a downstairs person. And in order not to encroach on each other's space, we give us each other time to relax, to expand, and not to encroach on or not to crowd upon that person. So you have to have time to space so you can kind of cool out, you can refresh yourself and move forward. Even Jesus did that. He had to get away from the disciples and kind of refresh himself and then go back into the battle again. So refreshing and giving space is a very important part of a successful marriage.
You know what? I remember that, Rob. I'm glad you brought that up because our son said this to us about maybe 10, 15 years ago. He said, I see what the answer to your longevity is, you and Dad. And I said, what? He said, you've learned the art of space, right?
That's right?
And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, Mom, you never pay attention. When you come into the house, you all go to your respective spaces. Dad go to his
respective
space.
corners, literally.
Yep, he said, Dad goes to his space, you go to your space. And then you meet up in the middle somewhere. I never thought of it intentionally, but it's worked for us.
Right.
And Rob's made a good point. Sometimes when you're dealing with life's issue, you need a little space. Now, I do understand our children are grown. Our children are adult children. So, but when they were little, Rob, they were in your space.
All over
and
the
so
place.
you couldn't even necessarily have space.
My space was outside.
Okay.
On this side, I'm outside.
So one of the things that the Turners did is we took our children to school and we took them to daycare and we took the day off and we came home and we played house. We relaxed. We ate in the bed. We did that once a month in our early years.
That's right.
And it was fun. We didn't do anything. We didn't spend a lot of money because we never had tons of money when we were younger. We didn't have that, so we made the best with that we could.
Right.
Now, right now, Rob, people are in their homes. People are in their face, in their space. Husbands feel stressed. Wives feel stressed. They're trying to teach children, and with virtual learning, some of them may have lost their jobs. So we talked about finances as one of those areas. So what do you do? How do you manage that?
Well, first of all, you have to talk about it. You can't ignore a situation or a problem. You have to communicate. That is a foundational principle that's going to move forward in your marriage. So you got to talk about where you are and be vulnerable enough to be open and trust the person that you're sharing this information with, that they will not use it against you, but they will work with you and talk with you to see how we can move together or work together as a couple and as a family. So communication is very important at this time.
You know what? I like that point you made. When you're vulnerable with your spouse, you want to be assured they won't use it against you.
Exactly.
So, you know, that takes me to a point I was thinking of earlier, fighting fair.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't fight fair and you mix it up all together and you've been holding stuff for months and weeks and maybe even years. You know, my mom was like that. She held things for years, and when she and my dad would fight, she would bring up stuff from 15 and 20 years ago. But I'm just saying that you got to put things in proper perspective. Wouldn't you believe that?
And there's 3 words. I know we always like to say the 3 most important words is I love you, which that's very important. But 3 words when it comes to communication and fighting fair is let it go.
That's good.
Let it go.
That's good.
It's over.
Yes.
And move on.
Yes. That's a good word. We don't oftentimes want to let it go. You know what? Here's another one, Rob, I thought about. Who's the enemy? When you're fighting, you get confused with who your enemy is. And so we fight each other sometimes when the issue is your finances.
That's right.
The issue is that job. The issue is I'm pulling my hair out with the kids. I don't know what to do. So you don't fight fair.
That's right.
And it's all mixed up and you're taking the stress out on your family. You're taking it out on those children. You must fight fair. And I say, you know what, in a real fight, you know, I like boxing. That's why I do my gloves every week. You got to go to your corners, right? You got to go to a corner. And maybe that corner is your closet. You got to go somewhere and breathe. You got to get a perspective on it. You got to collect your thoughts, and then you come out and maybe you can communicate.
Exactly.
And you got to know, sometimes I learned this with you over the years. There's a time to communicate. That it's not sometimes in the heat of the moment. Sometimes you got to take, maybe it may be a day. Maybe it may be a week. You got to take the time to collect your thoughts so that you're not competing to win.
That's right.
But you want to communicate to be heard, right?
That's right, exactly.
To be understood.
That's right. That's right.
I think it was Stephen Covey said, listen to understand, right? It's one of the habits. I may have it a little bit confused, but you're not listening just to give answers. Don't listen with an answer in mind.
That's right.
Listen to understand, to put yourself in that other person's shoes. So we just wanted this. Marriage is a complex institution.
And it's for grown folks. It's not for
That's
children.
a good one.
It's for grown
That's a good
folks.
one. That's a good one. It's not for children, but it's for grown folks. And I think we're grown. You can look at the gray
Still
around the edges, on the beard.
Yes.
I think we've been through some stuff. We got some
These
t-shirts.
are battle scars, by the way.
Yes, they are. And we've got the t-shirts in the closet. But all we wanted to do, you know, when I come every week is to give you little snippets. We are in contentious times.
Yes.
We're in a difficult and a challenging time, beloved. It's not easy. but we've learned who our enemy is. Our enemy is not one another.
That's right.
Our enemy is not the system. We have an adversary. His name is the devil. And he's going about and he's roaring and he's trying to divide us so that he can conquer our homes and conquer our children and conquer our marriages. Fight to win. And so Rob's got some scriptures that he's going to share with you that we have talked about, and it's sustained us throughout our marriage. And I believe it will bless you.
And the answer to the questions, or the answer to this quiz that Vicki was saying earlier, is found in 1 Corinthians 13 chapter, and it's beginning with the 4th verse. This is the answer to any circumstance, any situation, any problem you will have in your relationship. It says love is patient. You have to be patient. You have to spend time. You have to give time. You have to just be there for that person and be patient with them. And love is kind. You have to be kind to that person. Love does not envy. It's not boastful. It's not arrogant. It's not rude. It's not self-seeking. You should always esteem the other person, your mate, higher than yourself. It's not irritable and does not keep a record of wrongdoings. All right, going way back 10 years ago, bringing that back to a fight that's not even relevant or pertinent. It says here that love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. But the most important part about love, it never, ever fails. That's the word of God.
You know what, beloved? The last sentence, the last statement that he just made, it'll carry you through. It never fails.
Never.
Love never fails. God's love.
Yes.
It's not your love, because that'll come to an end.
That's right.
It's the agape love of God. It never fails.
That's right.
Even when you want to give up, even when you want to give out and you want to give in, I promise you, love never fails. Remember this, beloved. In our weakness, his strength is made perfect. So, I'm glad we had an opportunity to come before you today.
Yes.
We have on our red to celebrate Valentine's Day, and we just wanted to share the love of God. It's in our heart, and we wanted to share. I hope it's been a blessing to you. Absolutely. I'm so glad my honey could come and be with us today.
Thank you. I enjoyed
and maybe
it.
he'll come back again.
Possibly. Let me check my schedule. My fighting schedule. Love you guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.